Okay, so for this project, we're working on a snow scene in a forest. And this is a nice project for depth and for foggy scenes and for proportion and perspective. Perspective kind of because all of the trees go back into the background of the foreground here. So it creates an illusion of perspective. Now this one here on the left is just an example how we can paint this one here. You can see here with the one on the left, there's a horizon line, a defined horizon line, which I don't know if we want to do that. I kind of like this one because there's no cutting, there's no line that's cutting the painting or the photograph. So what we can do is start with the blues and the grays in this here. And then once we start coming down, we can soften and merge the colors into this snowy part. So instead of having a line, the defined line for the horizon line or for this part here, for the blue, we will just try to softly combine both of them. If we have a bit of line, that's okay, but I'm talking about the very harsh line right there. Now, if you like this and you want to do it that way, please go ahead, no problem. This one doesn't, so I'm going by this one, but it's up to you, whatever you like to do. Now, for this, we're going to use blue. This is cerulean blue, but any blue you have is fine. Ultramarine violet. Again, if you have any violet, if you don't have ultramarine violet, any purple will do. This is Paynes Gray to tone down the colors because I don't want to use raw umber to tone down my colors. And this is white. So the best way to do this and to have a soft background where all of the colors are mixed together in a flowy, nice way is to make sure that the background is wet. And to do that, we've done this before. Now I'm working on an 8x10 canvas board, or that's a canvas board. Now 8x10, I have with me here 2 sizes of brushes. This is 1 inch wide. This is please help me. What is that? Because I'm metric. This is
like 3/4 of an inch.
3/4? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, got it. 3/4 of an inch. I mean, you can go smaller. You can go to a 1/2 inch, but I wouldn't do 1/2 inch by itself because acrylic dries fast. And for us to be able to mix the colors quickly, we need a bigger brushes instead of smaller brush, because with the small brush, by the time you're blending your colors, they're dry already. So you'll have kind of a bit of harder time to blend and get a soft background. So for me, there are several ways you can wet your canvas. You can spray it with water, or you could take the brush, dip it in water, and just go like this all over. No matter what we do, it's going to dry. It's going to dry. I mean, this is the way it is. So it doesn't matter. But I mean, the first layer, we'll just kind of put a wash of water. Now, I don't have a specific color I want to start with, but you know what I'm going to do? I'll keep a spray bottle next to my colors. I'm going to dip my brush. This is the 1 inch. Let's take some blue, a little bit of purple. It's okay. It's a bit too wet right now, and because like, see, it's bubbling. the bubbles, that means there's too much water in there. It's okay. We will wait for it to dry, and then we'll do another thin layer. It's like, think about it like glazing. You can, make it less watery if you like, but just because it's dry in here, I am thinking of keeping it wet. It's going to dry very, very shortly. Now, when I go down, I'm going to get more of the purple, and I'm going to mix it with a bit of white. So more purple at the bottom. It's like when we prime the canvas. So where the snow is, I'm just keeping it a bit more purpley than the rest of the canvas. Okay, now I'm going to add white to these colors that I used before, the blues and purple, and I'm going to wait for it to dry a bit so I don't get a lot of streaks of the brush. It's drying already. There are so many ways you can do this, but I always prefer the brush. I add sometimes a little bit more blue, sometimes more purple, sometimes more gray. You will see once you start adding white, it will be easier. You add white with your paint, when you add white with your paint. It will be easier not to see the brush stroke. And my brush, the way I'm holding it, is kind of not up like this. It's more down this way, and it's a very gentle kind of pressure. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush. So I'm holding it from here, from the end of the, and then just kind of play around with that. I can take a little bit more of the Paynes Gray and give some areas kind of a Paynes Gray darker color. it's still wet. It's because the brush, I mean the canvas is still wet, so I'm able to blend my colors. And it's okay if you see patches of different colors in the background. That's okay. Don't try to blend it too much. The only reason I didn't start with white background, I didn't apply the white paint on the canvas first and then dip my brushes in, my other color in, is just because I don't want the white to absorb the color and make it really washed out. So this way I can control my color, the intensity of the color, the way I want. Now I'm going to come here. This is kind of getting wet in there. I'm going to take white and a little bit more of, just more, put white in there and then make sure it goes into more of the ultramarine violet, the purple. And I'm going to do the same. I'm trying to get rid of that line in there. And here we go. Wash my brush because all I'm seeing is blue. That's better. So I'm trying to blend this transition between the blue and the purple in the middle. And then I can now go to purple here. Purple and white. Crisscross. There. It's easy now to put the trees on top. Then we don't have to worry about the background. When the trees go on top, if you see kind of like it's not an imperfection, but it's kind of blotches of different colors in the background, it's okay. Don't try to blend them too much. You can see some blue in here, and I can see here Paynes Gray. So it's a kind of a blend of colors in here. Don't try to blend them too much. It's okay. I'm gonna stop for a minute. Okay, so this is done. It's the background is done. It's dry. So now I'm going to trace the drawing on. The drawing has been enlarged to 8 by 10. Not drawing, actually the reference, which is a photograph. It has been enlarged to 8 by 10. And what I did is I drew the trees the way I want them. Most of them are there because the proportion and the position of the trees is very nice, and in the reference, so there's no need to change anything. I'm going to take, it's on a transparent paper. I'm going to put it on. I have here guidelines where they're supposed to be. Put a piece of masking tape just to secure it. And now I'm going to slide underneath transfer paper, right? Black or any transfer paper you have. Color doesn't matter. And you can also do it freehand. I would to do it freehand, because it's too many trees, I would start with the big tree with the focal point, position the big tree, and then go from there into the back ones, the smaller ones. And now with the pencil, I'm just gonna I removed some of the branches that were coming out here and right there. I removed them because I think they're a bit too harsh. They stop in the middle. And I kept the ones that are more kind of free-flowing. Okay, so I think this big one is done. Now I'm going to start with the ones that are near the big one, the closer to the main tree. I'll talk a bit about the size of these trees. They're really nice the way they're distributed. Okay, another one right there. 3 of them. So I have 2 close, and then we have 1, 2, 3 here. Perfect distribution of or composition of the trees. Size is kind of small, not very big and not too small. Two here. Bigger one there. So it's like big, medium, and then we're going to go to, I'm doing the small one. So this is the medium one, which is not too close to the big one because it doesn't compete with it. Now, so we have 3, 3, 2, big, medium, small. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 small ones here. And then now I'm going to go with trace the ones in the back. So I have 1 here. And the rest is kind of, we can do it freehand if there's anything that's really very far away. But these are the ones that will make they're important to the composition. I mean, if you look at the reference, you'll see even in between these, there is more. There are more trees. This one is in the back. Back. And one here, very far back. These are the ones that are going to be more in the kind of a foggy areas. I think we're good. Now I'm going to just trace this one here. And we can add whatever we want. We can add more branches. We can remove some branches. We can add it. This is up to us later on when we're painting. There's one coming down here. There's one up here. Okay, let's see. Oops. All right, perfect. Done. There. We have a forest. Excellent. So if I'm looking at the reference, I can see some really foggy, like faint ones in the back. And the only reason, sometimes I put them, sometimes I don't. So let's say between this medium tree right there and the two other ones here on the left, there are two other two trees behind that medium one. I removed them because I just kept the medium one size. There's no need for that. It's too confusing. But in between those, we have one right here, and we have another one in the back, smaller, further back. So 1, 2, 3. In between, there are two on different levels. So we have 1, 2, 3, one in here, and one on a different level, higher back, because it's further back. Actually, it should be here. It should be here. It should end here. Right there. That's better. So you see the bottom of the trees, the ones in the back, have a nice kind of movement right there. So it goes like this one here, then it goes back up, down again, up here, and then further. So it's like a beautiful kind of pattern. And in between, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in between there's one. And there are some in the back, but I removed them. I simplified. There's one next on the left-hand side, right there. You can hardly see it. It's too close to the one in the front. I removed it. So I will decide later on when I start painting if I want to put it in or not. So for now, that's all we need to do. I'm going to stop for a minute. Okay, so now let's paint the trees in the back, and we can add as many as we want. I have here Paynes Gray, burnt umber, and white. So I'm going to take, and this really kind of thin, see how thin this brush is? Okay, I'm going to take, it's a small brush, it's inexpensive. I'm going to take burnt umber, put a tiny bit of Paynes Gray in it, a little bit. It just makes the burnt umber more grayish. And white. See, now I'm seeing more of the brown. If I want it on the grayish side, I'm just gonna put a bit of Paynes Gray in it, and that's good. That's good. I'm gonna kind of water it down a little bit, not much. So I dipped the tip of my brush, not the whole brush, in water, and I'm gonna clean it. I'm gonna go with the one in here. This is a little bit too dark. I'm adding more water. And let's add a little bit more of the bluish as well. The Paynes Gray. Because it's going to dry darker. But even if it dries darker, it's okay. This is really dark. It's okay. You'll see we're going to... We can glaze it later on when it's dry. I'm going to add a little bit more white to my color. So a lighter gray. Let's put one here. Bluish. Let's put one here. Some white. I'm going to take brown now. I can do all of them in the brown too. And then after, I can glaze the whole thing, push them back. So we can put the colors we want. That's brown, and I still have a bit of white in there. Let's do this one. I know it's overlapping with the front one, but that's okay. You know, let's take a bit of blue in there. Not blue, I mean Paynes Gray. And let's do one that is not straight, kind of, bit on an angle. A little bit on an angle in the back. Just going up. That's better. Just it cuts this, like too many straight trees. Let's do the one here too, on this side. All right. We can do some branches later on with a smaller round brush. See, this is good. Like they're drying a little bit. Some of them are drying a little bit lighter, which is great. Let's go a little bit lighter. Let's see. Let's add one. Let's say, let's have one going this way. No, let's do white. All right, I think we have enough trees in the back right now. Let's put some in the front. Do you want me to stop for a minute?
If you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. Okay, next week we'll start painting more trees, and then we'll glaze some of them to push them back. We're going to paint all of the trees the same color, or same kind of in different colors of grays and browns, and then we will glaze some of them to push them back.